Hello everyone, welcome to the session on Eclipse tips and tricks. I am Lakshmi Shanmugam. I'm an Eclipse platform co-lead and I work for IBM. I'll be co-presenting this session with Vikas Chandra, who is an Eclipse PD lead. He's also a committer on JDT platform and Equinox projects. In today's session, we'll be showing you a lot of tips and tricks in Eclipse and also showcase some of the new features which have been added in the recent releases. I'll be using Mac for the demo, where command is the primary modifier. So in case you're using Windows or Linux, you can use control in place of command in the shortcuts. And Vikas will be using Windows. So we have both these platforms covered today. So let me switch over to the latest Eclipse for the demo. Did you know that you can view all the shortcuts in Eclipse by pressing Command Shift L? And pressing Command Shift L for the second time will open the keys preference page where you can configure these key bindings and also assign your own key bindings. You can also choose to show the key binding when the command is invoked through keyboard or through mouse click. This is helpful in presentations and also for learning purposes. So I already have it enabled for the purpose of this demo. So let's take a look at the master shortcut in Eclipse, which is Command 3 or Find Actions, using which you can quickly find and execute your commands. So let me type Java here, and you can see that all the matching results are now shown grouped by category. And when I type Java project and select new project command, the wizard opens and you can create the project. While I'm at this page, I would like to show you the checkbox to create the module info.java file has now moved to the first page from the second page for convenience, and this is automatically selected whenever the execution environment is Java 9 or later, and it also remembers the user's selection. Eclipse also provides a lot of toggle commands. For example, toggle main toolbar visibility, toggle full screen, toggle show key bindings, which you can execute from find actions. So I'm going to execute toggle main toolbar visibility, and you can see that the main toolbar is hidden. I can execute this again and the toolbar is back. This is helpful when you want to have more vertical real estate. You can also quickly open preference pages. For example, I can change the font of this package explorer tree by opening the colors and fonts preference page and selecting tree and table font for views and edit and just select the font. You can also choose to use the system font or reset it to the default font. So now you can see that the font has changed. You can also quickly open views, for example, the outline view, or you can open any resource. For example, we have the .txt files, which you can open, or you can even quickly switch to any open editor. And you can also directly launch any run or debug configuration from here. For example, have this run configuration, which I can launch. So you can see find actions actually saves you time and also saves you from having to remember multiple shortcuts. Now let's take a look at some of the editor tips and code browsing tips. So you can quickly switch to any open editor by pressing Command E, which is the quick switch editor command. And I can type the name of the file and it will quickly switch to it. You can press Ctrl M to maximize the active view or editor, and pressing Ctrl M again will restore it back. You can get the same effect by double clicking on the tab. You can press Command W to close the editor. And Eclipse can now remember up to 10 last edit locations, and you can navigate through them by pressing Ctrl Q. And you can also use these tool items to go to the previous and the next edit locations. And you can open any type by pressing Command Shift T, which is the open type dialog. And here you can use camel case, and you can also use a pattern like this if you want to find types which end with circle. And here I can press Command O to get a quick outline of this particular type. It shows all the members. Pressing Command O again will show the inherited members in a different color. And I can press F3 to open the declaration of a type or a method. And here I can press Command T to view a quick type hierarchy of this particular type. So this shows all the types which are implementing this interface. And I can do a Command T here on this method to see all the types which are implementing or defining this method. So you can see these are the two types which have an implementation here. Now let's take a look at the Eclipse Content Assist. So Eclipse Content Assist is very powerful and it is non-blocking. So the UI is not blocked when it's trying to fetch the results. And it is invoked by pressing Control Space. And it's also automatically activated whenever you press a dot. And this auto activation character can be configured in the preferences. So here, let me try to get the radius. So I'm just going to type a substring RAD, and then you can see I get these two matches and I can select get radius. Here I need to get the number of sites. So either I can do a subword match where I just type G and then sites, or I can do a camel case completion. And next I need to get the circumference. So I'm just going to copy over this line. And instead of typing the whole word myself, I'm just going to use the word completion. So here you can see that it completes the word for me. And here I have the method get area, which has to be changed as well. So I'm going to press Control Space and it is highlighted. What this means is that whatever I'm going to select from the Content Assist proposal, it will overwrite get area. This is the new default. The earlier behavior was to do an insert, and you can toggle between these two behaviors by pressing Control. So I'm just going to go ahead and do an overwrite. So in the next step, let's set the radius. And here you can see that Eclipse has automatically set the best guessed parameter name instead of using the actual parameter name. And you can use Control Shift Space to view the actual parameter name. Eclipse provides a lot of templates, which basically inserts boilerplate code and saves a lot of time in typing. So let's look at the new template, which is used to create the new object. So I type new and then Control Space, and then I can create a circle object. You can also use the sysout template, which is the most commonly used template, which completes to system.out.println. I would like to show you a template which I have created, which is sysout with quotes. What it does is it expands to system.out.println and also puts these double quotes for me, wherein I can type something. So this is very helpful, and let's look at how we get this. So I'm going to open the templates view, and here are all the templates which are available. This is the new template which we used. You can edit the template. You can also create your own template. So let me go to the preferences and show you the template which I have used here. That is sysout with quotes. I just copied over the sysout template and added these quotes and placed the cursor within them. So this way you can create your own templates. And for postfix templates to work, you need to go to Content Assist, Advanced, and select Java postfix template proposals. Eclipse also now has some default type filters. So all the types whose fully qualified name matches these type filters, they will not be shown in Content Assist proposals or quick fix proposals and in open type dialogs. For example, if I'm working with SWT classes and I don't want Java AWT classes to appear in the Content Assist proposals, then I can add them in the filter list. So you can see it's already added here by default in the recent releases. So now let's take a look at quick fixes. Eclipse provides a lot of quick fixes to fix problems in your code and quick assist, which will help in refactoring your code and generating a lot of code. So we'll take a look at some of the new ones which have been added. So the first one is an existing one, but it's very useful. So I'm going to show you that. It's to create a local variable. So press Command 1 and assign statement to new local variable. This is very helpful. The next one is numbers is not defined, but I want to define it as a parameter here. So I'm going to say create parameter numbers and correctly creates it as an integer array instead of creating it as an object, which was the case earlier. When I have a while loop and its condition is known to be true initially, then I get a quick assist to convert it into a do while loop. So the behavior doesn't change. And whenever you have in Eclipse, whenever you copy a string and paste it into another string, the special characters like /t, /n, quotes, they are all escaped automatically. So you can see that /t is escaped here. This is because of the smart insert mode, which is on by default. So this is not what I want. So I'm just going to undo this and right click and select raw paste, which is a new feature. and this will paste the string as it is. Now let's switch over to switch example. So here I have these two switch cases and I want to combine them because Java now supports the multi-constant case labels. But I get an error here because this is supported only from Java 14 onwards. So I'm going to press command 1 and change the project compliance and GRE to Java 14. So right now it is Java 11. So you can see this will fix it and the GRE is also changed to Java 14. There is a new quick assist to create an implementation from an interface. So I can just type the name here and also use content assist and select the package name. The interface name is already filled in and you can see that the implementation is created. I can add a field and use quick assist to create the getters and setters, and I can also use the find actions to generate the constructor. So I'm going to say create constructor, generate constructor using fields. So you can see how easily you can generate a lot of code by using quick assist. So let's move on to an example of sealed types. It is a standard feature in Java 17. And here you can see I have an error because bus is not a subclass of vehicle. So I'm going to use the quick fix and you can see that the extends vehicle has been added. Here you can see that bike is not a permitted subtype. So I'm going to use the quick fix and fix this. And also I'm going to change and add this final. And you can see that we have many restricted identifiers such as var, record, sealed, and you can now change the color of these restricted identifiers in the syntax coloring preferences and then go to restricted identifiers and you can change the color as you like. So you can see that the color has changed. And now you can also perform a fine-grained Java search in the permitted type declaration. So I'm going to search for the type car in the permitted type declarations and it's going to show me the matches only in the permitted type declarations, as you can see. Another very useful search feature which we have is the quick search. So this will search the text as fast as you type, and here you can also do a case sensitive. This by default is a case sensitive search. You can also do a case insensitive search, and you can also look at the preview here. And there is also the quick search preferences where you can configure the maximum number of items matching results you want to match with. So with this, I would like to hand over the session to Vikas.
Thanks, Lakshmi. Hello, everyone. My name is Vikas, and I will talk about some of the tips and tricks and new features in JT tooling, JT debug, and PDE. Let's start with cleanup features of JT tooling first. Cleanups improve performance, improves readability, and uses the new language constructs. Let's first look at this particular image. Last year at this point of time, we had 62 cleanups, whereas today we had 111 cleanups. The number of cleanups has gone up from 8 till 17 now. Cleanups is achieved using cleanup profile. The way to do is to go to the page, and there I've already created a cleanup profile. Edit it and you could see various options across 9 different tabs. Code organizing is the first tab, which has options to format code and correct indentation. You see code style has styling for control statements and expressions. Duplicate code tab, as the name suggests, removes duplicate, and missing code tab at this point of time just adds missing annotations. Now let's apply this particular cleanup on a file that I have created. So this is the file that I've created, and let's apply this particular cleanup here. So on the right hand side, you can see the cleaned up code. We have corrected the formatting. We have also changed the styling. The two if blocks have been combined, and we have added the missing annotations. Let's go back to the cleanup page, preference page, and there let's look at some of the other options that we have there. Perhaps the most important cleanup tab is the Java feature tab, because it automatically detects the code that can be replaced by a new Java feature. So for example, Java pattern matching for instance of. So for that to work, you should have Java 16 in your workspace. Most of the cleanups that I'm showing today are new cleanups that have been added in the last 1 year. Performance tab was earlier known as optimization tab, but now it's called performance tab. It has little improvements like value of rather than instantiation and other such options. Source fixing is totally new tab added in the last 1 year. It has options to avoid call that inverts calls to object or equals so as to avoid NP and compares with zero for this particular function because -1 or +1 is not guaranteed, just compares to zero. Unnecessary code has close to 30 options, which removes various redundant code. Now let's apply this particular cleanup on our code base. This is a file which I have created, and let's apply this cleanup. Source cleanup. As you can see, we now have switch expression instead of old style switch case statement. We have try with resource here that gets rid of this particular line. We have a pattern matching for instance of, and we have multi-catch for exceptions, some performance improvement, source fixing, and lot of unnecessary code being removed. Now it's possible to associate cleanup to save actions. The way to do is go to save action page, and there in additional tasks you put configure unnecessary code. For demonstration purpose, I will show remove redundant semicolons. When you apply that, and here we have 2 redundant semicolons, and the moment you save it, that goes away. Now let's look at some of the debugging tips that will improve the productivity. While debugging a Lambda method, you can see the variable view creates a Lambda node here. So for here there is a Lambda node, and you can see the arguments inside it. Also, hovering over the Lambda operator, you can see the method which has been overridden, and control 1 there or quick fix there will give you a lot of options like add inferred Lambda parameter types, change body types to block, and on the right hand side you can see the preview also. So this can improve the code readability. Irrespective of the selected stack frame, you can evaluate the values which are in scope. What it means that if I have selected this particular stack frame, and if you evaluate this particular value, you can still evaluate now. Earlier this was not possible, so this is a new feature. Now let's look at some of the other tips and tricks in JT debug. So on the Java editor ruler, when you right click, now we also have a toggle trace point. Earlier it was only present in the run menu. Hit count breakpoint is a kind of breakpoint which stops the execution on the nth hit of that breakpoint. For example, this hit count breakpoint, on the 8th hit, this breakpoint will stop. So let's do a F11, which is debug. And here you can see I is equal to 7 means 8th attempt, this particular breakpoint stopped. It is possible to convert a breakpoint into trigger point. The way to do is control double click here and convert into a trigger point. So you can see a T overlay here and T/overlay elsewhere. What it means that unless this breakpoint trigger point is hit, all other breakpoints are considered disabled. So let's run it, F8. You can see method 1, method 2, it didn't stop although it had breakpoints because we had a trigger point which was put. It's also important to remove triggers, else your code execution will not stop when you expect it to. So whenever you are done with the trigger points, please remove it. Now this method first is it stops here because it is called, this call, it is after this method. Besides the class definition, you can put a class load breakpoint. All you have to do is double click here and class load breakpoint gets. So here you hit this class load breakpoint, and it's in the breakpoint view. You can also add exception breakpoint. The way to do is you can add, for example, null pointer breakpoint. You can uncaught, uncaught, everything. You can change those options, and when do a F8, it stops here. One another breakpoint property which is very useful in debugging multi-threaded environment. Let's look at that particular thing. So when you are debugging a multi-threaded environment, by default, when you debug it, and when the first thread is hit, the other threads keep on running. So if you want the whole VM to stop, all you have to do is here we have to change the property to suspend VM. And for these properties, the options are also there in the preference. So when I run this again, let's run this again. So once this is a hit, the whole VM stops. Now let's look at some of the new things in debug as well as in console. So while hovering over a chain of variables, now debug will give the value which is directly under the cursor. So if I put the cursor on C, you can see my object dot b dot c is 9. Earlier, you had to traverse from my object to b dot c. Now, couple of new things in console view. So let's me hit a F8. So you can go in search in forward and backward direction by Control K or Control Shift K for backward, and even on right click you can see those options now. This is again a new feature. And in the preference page of console, we have a new preference which is enable word wrap. So when you enable it, the word wrap gets enabled here. It was there earlier too, but that didn't persist over session. But now it persists over session. Now let's look at some of the PDE tips and tricks and new features. Let's start with API tool first. It's possible to convert any API tool problems severity by clicking here, configure problem severity. And in the project, you can go and make it warning, for example. So that particular API tool problem will go in warning from error. So it has come here, and it's possible to totally eliminate an API tool problem by filtering it out. So I can create a commented feature. Here I can post my reason of commenting and proceed. It is also possible to disable all API tool problems in a workspace. The way to do is go here, disable API analysis. So all API tool problems go away. Again, like trigger points, do enable it when you are done with it. Do you know that you can search for plugin artifacts? The way to do is Control Shift A. And here, if I search, I can search for extensions points also. Now, let's look at plugins selection spy. So on the UI element, when you press Alt Shift F1, you get a plugin spy, selection spy, which gives you all the details for that UI element. If you want how a menu is implemented, you probably need a Alt Shift F2, which is plugin menu spy. And here I can see where it is project clean is implemented. And Shift Control Alt F9 is the SWT layout spy, and you need it for debugging SWTs objects or things like that. So for example, if you are in a preference page, you do a SWT layout spy, you can find overlay and you have to resize slightly to for this hover and everything to work. Now let's look at some of the target manipulation things. So in the target preference page, you can edit your target. So for example, if you are here and if you want to add more things, so you can go and edit here and add. You can put, for example, directory. You can put any location where you have more things. So I will probably put this one. So it adds the test plugins, so EasyMock and other things. So it gets added to my targets and it works well for me. Now let's look at some of the new features in PDE. If a plugin is there in the workspace but not in the baseline, we get this particular error. Plugin is not present in the baseline, and the preference that controls is this particular preference. If you So this particular preference controls it. And also for PD compiler issues, you can change the problem severity to info as well. So earlier we didn't have info, we just had error and warnings, but now we can have info. For example, this PD compiler problem, now we can set it as info. With that, I end this presentation. Thank you very much for attending this session, and Please do remember to evaluate the sessions. Welcome to the Q&A session. Lakshmi, you are on mute.
Okay, sorry about that. So while you're waiting for the questions, we'll just go through this NNN slide where we have the new features which have been added in the past 1 year. So we have the new system theme which was added. We have the experimental support for Edge browser and the Mac ARM64 support as well. So please do try it out. And also this is the list of useful links. So if you look at the first one, this is the new and noteworthy link where we have the new and noteworthy for each of the releases. And it is very helpful in understanding all the features which have been added. For example, this was the 421 release. And we also have the link for Holger's videos. So every release we have amazing videos from Holger where all the latest features have highlighted. And we also have a link for the creating your own Eclipse template. So you can always refer to the Eclipse help, but we also have a useful article here which provides all the details on how you can create your own templates.
So at this point of time, we have just one question, which is, would be great to have also some static favorites by default. The question is, would be great to have also some static favorites by default. So I'm not sure which context this question is on.
Okay, I think maybe this is for this is in the preferences for static imports. So yeah, please feel free to open a bug for this, and I think somebody from the JDT team will definitely look at it.
So we are waiting for any more questions. So please do look at the cleanup features. A lot of options have been added in cleanup, and there are a lot of improvements in JT debug and even PD. Please do test them, and if you find any issues, please do post them. And if you want an enhancement, I will request everyone to please open a bug, and we can continue the discussion over there. So we are waiting for any more questions. So if we don't have any more questions, I believe we're done with the presentation. Thanks so much.
Thanks all for attending the session. Please don't forget to rate the session.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.